This is my assignment for Intro to Python. Um, I'm gonna run through the. I'm gonna let it run one time, and then I'm gonna go through kind of what I did, just explaining everything step by step. So here you can see it generates a grade report, which includes the names of each student, their averages, and then the letter grade that they got. On the bottom, it includes the top performer, the class average, and then whoever passed with a C or better, which in this case is everyone. We move on to the actual script now. Here at the top is just kind of a little overview of what the script is for and what it spits out, and how it works. Here is my dictionary of grades. It just includes the student names and then their individual grades next to them. Moving on to the helper. Here's a small average function. It demonstrates a for loop. So I start with a total at 0, which is also the default, then add each number from the list, and then divide by the length of the list, which is 3 in this case, 3 numbers, and that gets me the mean. I also make a new dictionary called student averages. So I just iterate through the dictionary using for names, grades, in the student grades, and then compute each student's average with the helper function. So these kind of go hand in hand. And then I use the if, else if, and then else, just defining what each grade entails. So let's say a student got a grade that's 90% or higher, they would get an A. Anyone who gets an 80% or higher, B, etc., etc. The reason I don't have to specify that if they get a like if they get a 80 or higher, that doesn't mean they get both an A and a B. That just means they get a B. Is because it automatically stops once it notices that it's met one of the criteria. Which in this case, if they got an A, then they would get an A. Or if they got above 90%, they would get an A. Etc. But then we move on to the top performer. To find the top performer, I just loop through the averages and then keep track of the highest average I've seen so far, and then the student's name. And with the current data, as you saw in the output from the script, but the current average, or the current top performer is Bob with 91.67. Next is the class stats. So for the class average, I take the student averages and pass them to my average function. With these numbers, the class average is 85, which is also visible in the output. And then for the pass count, I specifically use a while loop to walk through the list of letter grades and count how many are A, B, or C. And shows a conditional inside a loop, which is just some simple nested logic, or it's an example of a nested logic. And it also shows both for and while loops within the same program. Lastly is the output. This just kind of writes everything out in a neat way, so that it's readable to the person who is using the script, or me if I'm editing it. You can see that I used a little tip from the reading so that I don't have to type something out 40 times. I just put a dash and then times it by 40, and it gives me 40 dashes, which gives me a nice clean output, as you can see right here. And then same for the equal sign. But yeah, that's pretty much everything. Hopefully it shows most of the concepts that we've learned in this module. Thank you for watching.